Hi, I'm Talia, and welcome to another episode of Dose of Pharma. Today, we are speaking with two very special guests. We have the amazing Ella Shearing, who works as a hospital pharmacist, teaching associate, and within the marketing and social impact team at Locumate AI. We also have the incredible Chantelle Florenca, who works as a community pharmacist and who also works at Locumate AI within the marketing team and is head of the social impact team. So, welcome to the both of you. We're very excited to have you today. Today, we're essentially going to be chatting about all things sustainability, specifically in the context of healthcare and technology. So, without further ado, I'd like to welcome you both to Dose of Pharma. Thank you so much for being here. How are you guys going today?
Hey Talia, it's great. Thanks so much for having us on. It's really exciting.
Thanks for being here.
Yes, thank you so much for having us on. Very exciting to be here, and let's get into it.
Yeah, let's get into
Let's
it.
do it.
So,
I'm ready.
perfect. I love the enthusiasm, love the energy. So, let's start off by getting you both to tell us a little bit about yourselves. Maybe we can start with Ella, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure. So, thank you for the kind introduction, Talia. So, basically, I'm a hospital pharmacist at the moment. I'm working in orthopedics, which I love. And then I'm also doing part-time clinical trials as well in hospitals. So, that's really exciting, very different world. And yeah, I've been working at Locumate for 3 and a bit years. So, that's been a really fun journey so far, just getting to see how the company's grown and ready to talk about sustainability today.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Ella. And we're excited to hear more about your journey as well. I'll now pass to Chantelle.
Yeah, so my name's Chantelle. I am a community pharmacist, so a bit different from Ella from that hospital side of things. And I just work at a little independent community pharmacy on the Gold Coast. So it's quite good, quite community-like. I know all the customers by heart, their names by heart. So yeah, it's quite good. And then I also work for Locumate, as you mentioned in your introduction, Talia. Thank you so much. I think I've been with Locumate for 4 years, almost 4 years coming up to. So yeah, it's quite good. And I've sort of dipped in dipped into different roles here and there, bit of marketing. You'll see me on the social media, and now I'm part of the social impact team as well. So that's pretty much me, all summed up.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Chantelle. So you both have mentioned Locumate, and I obviously said that in my introduction as well. So could you give us a little bit of a description as to what Locumate does and talk about your role, I guess, within the Locumate team? Ella, if you'd like to start us off.
Yeah, sure thing. So in Locumate, I started out just as like a student representative, and then since becoming a pharmacist, I've been able to integrate within the marketing team, which has been really exciting. And now, recently, as of this year, I've been working under Chantel with the social impact team. So I'm sure Chantel will be able to talk a little bit more to that. But yeah, in terms of Locumate, it originally started off as I guess a platform just to connect community pharmacists with locums. And from that, it's grown to what it is today. So we now have lots of other specialties and allied health specialties that have jumped on. It's now international. So that's been really exciting too. And yeah, I guess there's just so much that Locumate is doing at the moment. But I guess the real gist of it is connecting, the workforce with the employers. And we're kind of the bridge for that.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Ella, I don't really have much else to add on to that. That's perfect. But I guess I can talk about the social impact side of things. So Locomate is very much about connecting people. And not only through their platform, do we want to connect people, we also want to connect with the community, the broader community. So we're like, okay, how do we do this? And it's through social impact that we can do this. So we have held a few, different events here and there. We have a lot of projects coming up as well to have that community connection. We did have an event at Monash University, which Dose of Pharma was also there, sort of a mini collaboration. And we did like a speed mock interview session with the Monash pharmacy students, which was really cool. And it was a free event, just a way to give back to pharmacy students and help them with their careers and with their interview skills. So that's sort of what we're about, the social impact team at Locumate. still have, you know, our company vision and goals in mind, but our main focus is giving back to the community. And sustainability is something that we do really love and encourage all businesses to think that it's so important. So yeah, that's pretty much where we're at.
Amazing. Thank you both. Those are like incredible summaries and really interesting to hear about your different roles within the team as well. Definitely agreed. Sustainability is something that's obviously very important and is a topic of today's discussion. So obviously it's a very broad term as well. You know, a lot of things can kind of fall under this like term. So let's essentially break it down for all of our viewers and listeners. So to start off with, I'm going to ask the both of you, what does sustainability mean to you? And either of you can go first.
For me, sustainability, I don't know. A lot of people think sustainability is like plant a tree and that's it. But there's so much more to it. And there's all these different like I don't know, I don't think levels is the right word, but there's all these different levels of sustainability and how you can, as an individual or as a company or a group of people, can actually contribute to society's sustainability. So I guess in a cheesy kind of way, it's like sustainability means being more sustainable and doing things in a sustainable way and being, I guess, aware and conscious of the actions that you take in order to be more sustainable for the world and for everyone around you.
Yeah, 100%. And I feel as though longevity is one of the important things to think about with sustainability. Obviously, trying to leave things as better or as preserved as you can be for the people who are coming after you. And that's not even, I mean, that can relate to, generations for the generation who's coming after you, but that could also mean, if we're looking more specific at a pharmacy or a particular workplace, making sure that you're able to leave that particular workplace in a way that is functional in the future or functional for the long term.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. I definitely completely agree with those definitions and have similar things in mind. I definitely would, classify sustainability as to do with longevity and, making things better and leaving things, I guess, like better for the generations to come. It's really important that we all kind of care for each other. And definitely on what you were saying, Chantel, in regards to like awareness and being kind of conscious and of our efforts, I think that's super, super important in sustainability for sure. So thank you so much to you both for that. So it is frequently mentioned, sustainability. It's mentioned by a lot of major big pharma companies and manufacturing industries. From your perspective, how would you define sustainability in the context of healthcare? We've talked about it more broadly, but maybe let's narrow it down to healthcare now.
I feel like with healthcare and sustainability, there's always this juggle between being sustainable and good for the environment, but then at the same time, there's a lot of single use items in healthcare, like just off the bat, anything to do with medication, the actual tablets, they come in a blister, then that's put into a box, and then that's put into packaging. If you're talking about, like, I'm just thinking from like a hospital perspective as well, when you're on the operating table, all of the there's a lot of equipment that's obviously single use only, and so you kind of have this balance between being environmentally conscious and trying to reuse and I guess recycle as much as you can, but then at the same time you have to guarantee that something's sterile and you have to guarantee that something's not going to be contaminated. So there's always this balance in healthcare of how can we like mitigate the risk of, or how can we mitigate our waste and reuse as much as we can without that causing harm to the patient. So I feel like that's always a bit of a tough balance, and that's why in a way I feel like with healthcare you inherently have more waste than other industries, so it does make it a lot more difficult when you are trying to figure out, okay, what can we cut, what can we reuse. You don't want to then again cause that harm down the line.
No, that's exactly it, Ella. Like you said, everything's sort of single use, so it
Mm-hmm.
makes it hard, and you don't want to cross-contaminate. You know, that can just cause so many other issues if that were the case. So it's quite an interesting topic for me because in my intern year, I actually did research on waste, and I literally counted all of the waste from the Webster packing. I just one by one counted all the blister packs from all the medications that were being packed. So so my research sort of focused on that waste component. And like you said, those blister packs, they're being used to package the products, for they're all in foil. It's not really recyclable, but there are actually sort of recycling services that are out there. They're just not government funded, which is hopefully one day, we do see the government sort of push funding towards this and sort of focus on sustainability in healthcare in that way. I mean, they have the RUM project where, patients come into the community pharmacy and dispose of the medications properly. So then it's not going into the environment and, messing up the whole ecosystem and whatnot. So sustainability in healthcare is very important, and it's such a shame that it's not actually talked about more or like part of the government's like priorities as well. I'm not trying to bring politics into it, but it does get frustrating at times as a healthcare professional who wishes like we could have more sustainable practices.
That's so interesting that that was your project. Or what was your project on?
It was it was just about waste, and I could choose like what I wanted to do. And so I chose to just count all the waste of the DAAs that were being packed,
Oh my
like the
gosh.
medications itself. And then after I sort of finished my project, people were like, why didn't you just weigh the waste? Like, why did you count every single thing? And I was like, that is so smart. How did I not think of that? But anyway, you live and you learn.
That sounds like a really interesting project though, Chantelle, and definitely a very like impactful one for sure in regards to sustainability. I really love what you guys said about that single use point and how we need to make sure that things are still sterile because patient safety is our priority, obviously, in healthcare. And I find that every time I'm in some sort of like sustainability workshop trying to link healthcare, that's the first thing that comes to mind is that we can't recycle everything when it comes to healthcare. And I also really agree with that point about funding as well. Obviously, funding is a shortage everywhere. So, how do we essentially like conserve funds or kind of reserve funds to be more sustainable? So, definitely really important points that you brought up there. Out of curiosity, we've talked about how it can be really difficult to, be sustainable in practice. Have you guys found any ways to try and integrate it regardless into your practice, both in like primary care or secondary care?
Interestingly, what Chantel, just to bring on the point that Chantel was making before with the blister pack recycling, our hospital has, it's not a government funded initiative, but it's, I guess, a hospital funded initiative when we are, it's a hospital funded initiative, and we are actually collecting those blister packs from medications from the ward, and then we send them off to like a company that then recycles them. So they actually take the blister packs, they grind them down into like, I guess, kind of like a powder. They've come in and shown us it before, but they grind it all the way down to a powder and then they can reuse it for other things. So that's something that our hospital is working on. And I think there are a few other hospitals that do it as well. So that's a pretty good initiative. I would say, like, in my general practice, I try and, again, it's hard because there's that balance between single use items and patient safety, but for me, I'm trying to focus on reducing waste. So that might mean if I get a medication request, rather than sending 7 days of a medication supply to the ward, I might only send 3 days, because especially on the orthopedics ward, it's such a fast moving environment. Not everyone's going to stay there for a full week. So a patient might only stay there for 2 or 3 days. So just by reducing the amount of tablets and waste that I'm actually sending up to the ward, it reduces the amount that the nurses need to discard at the end of the day. So that's just like a little thing that I do. I don't know. What about you guys?
No, that's really good. I mean, I guess that also comes back to the whole point of like that awareness. You have that awareness, you have sustainability in the back of your mind, and you're like, you know what? They don't need a week's worth. Only give them what they need. So that's actually such a great step. And that's really cool how they like grind down the blister packs or whatever. That's so cool.
Yeah, yeah. Because we just go through so many tablets, as you'd imagine, and like antibiotics and that kind of thing, and it just creates so much blister waste. So yeah.
No, that's really, really good points that you brought up, Ella. And I'm also as fascinated by Chantel about like the grinding of the Webster packs. That is very, very interesting. Do you know if that's been rolled out anywhere else, or is that unique to your hospital?
I think it's unique to our local health district.
Oh,
I'm
great.
not sure about other health districts, but I think that it's an initiative that they just started as like a quality improvement project. And they started it about 2 years ago in my local health district within Sydney local health district. So yeah, I'm actually not sure if other hospitals do it around
Yeah.
Sydney.
Hopefully, sometime in the future, if they're not doing it now, people will do it because that is an absolutely amazing idea. Chantel,
Yeah.
did you have anything to add in terms of like sustainable practices you use in your daily work life, I guess?
Nothing crazy, nothing out of the norm. I mentioned, that there are that like that pharma cycle
Yeah.
company where you can recycle those blister packs. But for me personally, I guess everything in the back of my mind is like if I don't have to print something on paper even, that's where I'm at. Like if I can do everything electronically or even like for e-scripts, just send it back to someone's phone so then it's paperless. Like to me, that's still contributing in some way. And even just like offering like paper bags to people. I know it seems small, but sometimes we're like, do you really need a bag for one item? And they're like, no, it's fine. I can put it in my handbag. I'm like, yeah, cool. So saving paper in that sort of sense. But yeah, it's the little things, but it contributes, I guess, over time. It builds up. Yeah.
Definitely. No, I was gonna say like when I was like working at part-time jobs in community pharmacies, or even like my technician job, I would try not to waste paper. So I 100% agree. It really is like I think if everyone does these little things, I guess the cumulative impact will be amazing. So hopefully that's something, people are trying to adapt in their day-to-day life as well. And if you're not, well, here's some excellent ideas for you, I guess. So another point that I wanted to ask about is obviously in both both in primary care and secondary care as well. You're working with other health professionals as well. So how can healthcare teams collectively work towards being more environmentally sustainable? Because we can do things on an individual basis, but ultimately at the end of the day, it's about doing it as a team as well, because that's going to have a really big impact too. Do either of you want to shed any light on this question?
I mean, it kind of comes down to, for me at least, being community pharmacist, it's obviously not as hands-on with other health professionals, but I guess even just e-scripts, like if doctors just converted to e-scripts, not only would it make our workflow a lot easier, but it also saves that paper. So again on that, but Ella might have something, working in hospital that she might want to add on. So I'll hand over.
Yeah, I guess like what you were saying, we're kind of more working in close proximity to other healthcare providers, so nurses and doctors. And I feel the most helpful thing is communication and having like an open stream of communication. So whether that be about confirming a discharge date for a patient, so like with the example that I gave before, only sending a limited supply of medications up to the ward. If I know for sure when that patient's going home, I'm able to tailor the amount of medications that I send up to the ward more specifically. I guess as well, hospital is still very much paper based, even though all of our medication charts are online. We have some things that are still paper based. So, for example, the discharge letters, what ends up happening often is the medical team will complete the discharge letter, they'll print it out, and it's often this like really thick wad of paper. And then we get sent down the script, we find issues, and then the discharge reconciliation and the discharge letters have to be then edited and then reprinted out. And that can happen sometimes multiple times. And if we were to have open communication to talk to the doctors early on and get that fixed before the letter was printed, that could save so much time, but then also obviously be much better for the environment and create less waste. So I feel that even if we were to just have that little bit more communication, it really helps with reducing our footprint, reducing our waste, and it just makes everyone's job easier.
Yeah, amazing points brought up by the
Mm.
both of you. especially in that idea of communication and making sure we're actually everyone's aware of like, new changes
Mhm.
or sustainable changes and kind of doing the same thing. Consistency is really key when it comes to sustainability. I guess we've talked a lot or kind of touched a little bit about like digital scripts, for example, but let's transition the conversation to technology now and digital, I guess the digital world. So, what role do you see innovation playing in achieving sustainability in healthcare? I know we've touched on it briefly, but if there's any other points that both of you would like to add, that'd be great.
I guess where we're headed is the future of AI, really. Everything is going into AI these days. And even like a lot of I'll talk from a community pharmacy
Sure.
perspective. A lot of community pharmacies are now starting to get like robots in. So not in a sustainability sort of perspective, having like a robot in a pharmacy.
I like your point about AI because I'm not sure, obviously, the direction of technology is going to AI, but I'm not sure if that's going to be beneficial or negative to the environment. Because
Exactly, yeah.
from what I've heard, AI isn't the best, or especially ChatGPT is not the best for the environment. I've heard it consumes a lot of water, and obviously there's a lot of power required to maintain the infrastructure to store that information and to help work the computers, which, you know, obviously that energy's got to come from somewhere, and fossil fuels is most of the time the main source of energy. So I'm not sure if technology is going to be a benefit or if it's going to be something that actually worsens off the environment, worsens the current environmental situation. But I guess that's something we have to kind of wait and see, and see what strategies we need to put in place to help mitigate that.
No, definitely. And Chantal, did you have anything to add to that point?
Yeah, I just feel like it's hard to predict in terms of a
Yes. Yeah.
sustainability thing, just to
Definitely.
add on to Ella's amazing point. Like, we don't know what doesn't exist and what is going to exist in the future. Like, there are so many different people that are just getting so creative with AI and just all this new tech that it's hard to know, like, what the world will look like once it's sort of taken over by AI. So, yeah, hard to predict. Mm.
Definitely hard to predict, and it can be quite scary as well, as we've kind of touched on. So then, I guess on this theme, do you believe that healthcare practitioners should embrace or help to develop this technology in order to like, support sustainability? Or do you think that we should be a little bit more cautious about our practices? I know we were talking about we can't predict, but just judging now, what would you guys say would be a good approach from your perspective?
I think embrace it, honestly,
Yep.
because it's going to be hard to avoid in the future.
Yeah,
And I feel
good
like if
point.
you don't embrace it now, you might not have a job.
True.
But in terms of sustainability, I feel like there may be ways to use AI to help create more sustainable solutions, I guess, for sustainability issues that we have as a whole world. Like, I don't know, like climate change, for example. Like, surely there's going to be someone amazing who creates some AI that can figure out how we reverse climate change besides getting Teslas here and there. So yeah, I don't know. Do you have anything to else to add, Ella?
No, I mean, I 100% agree. I think we're going to need to embrace it. It's coming, it's already here. And, whether we like it or not, AI is already in healthcare. Patients are already using it to ask questions. When I teach at uni, students are already using AI. They're using ChatGPT in the labs to ask questions rather than coming to their tutors. So it's already here. And I think we do need to embrace it. We need to, I guess, come to it from more of like a curiosity standpoint and try and understand how it works and how to use it. And I guess even from our patient's perspective, yeah, I guess I think we need to embrace it. In saying that, though, I do think there are other concerns with AI, obviously privacy, um, patient confidentiality. We don't know if it's 100% reliable. Sometimes it can have hallucinations and pull answers from nothing. So I think there are other concerns with AI. I think Chantel's right in saying that maybe we can actually use AI itself to help with certain issues. It's incredibly good at, brainstorming and providing a different perspective that might be different from, a human's perspective, I guess. We might actually be able to use it to help for sustainability within our workplace. But in saying that, is that going to be worth the trade off for the energy that it burns and all the energy that it consumes and the other resources that it consumes? So yeah,
Yeah.
it's hard to predict.
No, I love those answers from the both of you. Definitely, yeah. Technology can be so unpredictable. And I think a lot of people focus on the efficiency of it, but sometimes don't really think about like the impacts it can actually have in terms of burning energy and resources. So I think it's just an important consideration for anyone listening to this to just, think about the technology you use and how much energy it's like truly using, because it might be efficient for you, but is it good for the environment? I guess we've talked about technology in healthcare and just in general as well. Out of interest, can you both think of any other interesting examples of sustainable practices from other industries? So, or it could be health or tech if you've thought of any other ones, but any unique examples that come to mind? It's a hard question because I feel like all industries are now trying to like adopt to be more sustainable. But yeah, Ella, did you want to add
Yeah.
something?
I guess this is again more healthcare hospital related.
Yeah, all good.
But I don't know if you remember at the last year's ADFA conference,
Yeah.
it was your friend had a poster where in their hospital they were replacing the aerosol metered dose inhalers with the dry powder inhalers.
Yes, yes.
And they were able to save like a significant amount on the carbon footprint because for me personally, I didn't realize that there was even a huge uh, a huge difference in terms of the environmental impact for aerosol inhalers versus dry powder inhalers. So dry powder inhalers have a lot less of a carbon footprint and impact. And so it was a really cool initiative that your friend had to switch over to the dry powder inhalers whilst in hospital. And I just thought that that was a really cool idea and really simple.
Yeah, simple but super effective, I think, if it's rolled
Yeah,
out in many places. Like it's like as we talked about before, it's the little things that make a really big impact for sure.
yeah, for sure.
This is a bit weird,
No,
but
share it. Yeah, we love weird.
it doesn't really answer your question. But what I love about what Google does is they have bought like, I don't know, 100 goats or something, and their goats mow the lawn at
Oh,
Google.
no, that's a very unique sustainable initiative. That definitely answers the question. Wow, I didn't know that. It's very cool.
So I don't know. Well, I read that on like their Google social impact site, and I was like, wow, that's actually so cool. Like they don't need lawnmowers because the goats just eat all the lawn. They're the lawnmowers. They're the natural lawnmowers. And I actually had a customer, he lives on like 10 acres or something. He came in and
Wow.
was complaining about all the mowing. I was like, just get some goats. That's what Google does.
So
And he was like,
sustainable.
yeah, maybe I should. So I'm like, see, that's how I'm being sustainable in community pharmacy,
Love
encouraging
that.
people to get goats.
No, that's a really, really unique example. I actually want to Google about that later. Like, that is really, really cool. Very nice. I mean, I guess like from my experience being a uni student, what I really loved seeing at uni is that they're offering uni students like incentives if they are sustainable. For example, if you go to a cafe and it's so simple, but if you bring your own cup, they will literally make your drink cheaper. And I just think that it's like, once again, it's the little things, the little steps, and it's those kind of things that get people to think like, oh, okay, maybe I don't need to be, buying plastic all the time. Maybe I can just bring, my thermo mug or whatever cup I have from home and just, get a discount whilst I'm at it as well. So I think that's a really unique initiative for sure.
And it gets people in that habit as well of being
Yeah,
sustainable, which is good. I like that. I like that a lot.
exactly. Ella, did you have something you want to add as well on that?
No, that's all
No.
good.
Oh, good. Amazing. Well, yeah, I feel like I think the biggest thing, at least that I've really heard a lot about in our conversation today, is really just the importance of like small steps towards big changes. And I feel like, when we do our part when it comes to sustainability and, for example, we bring our own mug or we use less paper or we, conserve resources, we can really make an impact in the future as hopefully others will follow along or are doing the same thing as well. We just have a couple more questions as well. So something that's really interesting, I guess, is in terms of like sustainability being incorporated into like daily operations and long-term strategies. Why do we think it's essential? We've talked about like how it's really interesting and cool and longevity, but why is it essential for us to do, I guess, at this point in time?
Well, I guess if there's no sustainability, then there is no long term.
Yeah.
There is no long term,
Yep.
and full stop. So if we're not if we're not being sustainable now, then we're not going to have enough resources for the future, or we're not going to be able to live our life as we know it now.
Yeah.
So if we're able to conserve as much resources as we can, innovate and find new ways of working that we do currently, then we're able to sustain the everyday life that we have and the work processes. So
Yeah. Great. Great.
It comes back to that next generation thing as well.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know about you, but I'm just like, "Oh, if I don't be sustainable now, what is my kids' life going to be like? It's
Yeah.
not going to be what my life is like. Like, it's
Yeah.
going to be terrible." So, yeah, comes back again to Ella's point at the start of the podcast, being it's for the next generation. So, like she said, there's going to be no long term if we don't incorporate sustainability practices into our work, into our industry, especially being in healthcare. Like, healthcare is very challenging to incorporate a lot of things. Ella mentioned about like privacy and confidentiality. I think about like AI even, which is huge, which is why it's a lot harder for AI startups to actually be in the healthcare industry. But then sustainability as well is also hard because of that single use, like we've mentioned.
Yeah.
It's just all these things that we've talked about is just exactly why it is essential to actually incorporate sustainability practices for the future.
Yeah, no, very, very, very well put, the both of you. I guess linking it back to some of the work that you guys do outside, community and hospital pharmacy, what does sustainability mean in the context of Locumate AI in terms of maybe vision goals or like initiatives you guys have planned?
well, I guess with Locumate, it's all about innovation,
Yeah,
and Locumate's here for the long term. We're here to last.
yeah,
So, um, in terms of aligning it with our goals, innovation is just so essential and core to the company's values
yeah.
that I feel that sustainability is just inherently involved in that. And we will continuously innovate and change our processes in order to meet the world's growing demands. So, yeah, I'm not sure if Chantelle has anything to add on to that.
We're also sort of in the process of partnering with People's Pantry, which Talia, you can probably talk about a bit more than I can if you wanted to add
Yeah, I
anything.
mean, sure. So for those who don't know, I'm also part of Locumate AI in the social impact team. And essentially, the project we're working on currently is really exciting. It's about that food kind of recycling, conservation, and reducing waste. So we're partnering with a little organization that I started with a couple of colleagues. And essentially, we're going to establish some food pantries within the local areas to help kind of, give back to those who do need donations and have an opportunity to donate, but also kind of reduce that food waste kind of cycle as well, which, yeah, I think we're all really excited about, which should be good. Um, did we have anything else final to add on that one? If not, I might skip to our very, very last question. And it's really about, so from this conversation, I can tell that, you're both super passionate about sustainability, which is like obviously so amazing to hear. But what do you, I guess for other health professionals who are also super passionate and want to advocate for sustainability within healthcare, what advice do you have for them? And Chantel, I'll start with you for this one.
Uh, Advice for healthcare professionals. Just if you have an idea that will make a difference, no matter how big or how small, if it just helps sustainability practices in any way, in even just your own little workplace or community pharmacy or hospital pharmacy, just speak up. Just, put it to action because we need people who want to take action. Otherwise, nothing's going to get done.
Yeah.
So I think, that's my piece of advice. If you have an idea and if sustainability practices is something that you're passionate about, just go full in it because we need people like you.
Those are some amazing pieces of advice. I definitely personally will take that on, like for sure. And Ella, what about you? Any bits of advice?
Yeah, I think just being vigilant,
Mhm.
keeping an eye out for what other people are doing in different industries, different workplaces. I think doing things like attending conferences, attending networking events, and just being very open to, I guess, having that awareness and having that thought in the back of your mind of sustainability and asking the question of how your workplace is or how other people are incorporating sustainability in their workplace is a really good way of idea sharing, and that's one of the main ways that we have been able to incorporate different ideas into our workplace is through those networking events and through catch up with other people. But yeah, I guess it's similar to what Chantelle was speaking on earlier, is having that awareness and just having that as one of the front of mind topics for when you are, going out into the workplace or going out into the world, and you can kind of incorporate those ideas into your practice.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Ella. Definitely taking on your advice as well. Really have appreciated this conversation with both of you today. So thank you so much for your time. Today we did cover a lot of different topics. We spoke about the balance between safe practice and sustainable practice. We talked about resource conservation, reducing paper usage, and utilizing things like e-scripts or digital technology. We spoke about AI and its impact and how it could make things more efficient, but also it could burn energy and there could be like privacy concerns. But ultimately, we've kind of, I guess, all spoken about the fact that it's so important to advocate and share your ideas. Sustainability isn't about one person doing one thing. It's about everyone contributing and kind of making a difference all together. Sustainability is so important, I guess, in our community in order to secure our future, in order to secure the long term. And we really hope that by listening to this podcast and this discussion today, that our viewers and listeners have gotten some ideas on how they can be sustainable in their day-to-day lives. So thank you both for your time today. I hope you have a good night, and we're really keen to catch up with you soon to hear what amazing things Locumate AI and you both achieved. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having us. We really appreciate it.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Talia. It's been a great talk.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Bye.
Dose of Pharma acknowledges the traditional custodians of the various lands throughout Australia on which we connect today and pays respect to elders past, present, and future.